Hey guys, Storm here. Trying something a little bit different this time around. This is actually recorded on YouTube itself. Previously, I've been trying one software or another before realizing that there's probably some easier tools than downloading whatever I can from the internet. Uh, we'll see. I've done a couple of test trials before this. It seems like it's pretty easy to go stream the video together from a live stream, essentially. And well, we'll see how it goes. So this month's challenge, I've been on a bit of a hiatus for a while. Got a new job. That's kept me very busy, but starting to settle down on that, and I've got more free time for Mead. I've probably only brewed like 3 batches in the last 6 months or so, and that's a slow go of it for me. So looking forward to getting back into it here. So in my hand, I've got a Bochet. Basically, it's a mix of all the other Bochets I've done previously this year. Back in January, I started a couple of them, and the leavings of all of it, threw it in a big batch. Because I did like 60 gallons of Bochet or something like that, and yeah, the mix is fine. It's got rose, it's got apricot, it's got blueberries, oranges, a little bit of hot pepper. Let's see, a Jamaican red hot, and yeah, it all kind of blends together. It's fine. I mean, it's really nothing special, but I got like 3 gallons of it, and I like to try it every once in a while and see how the batches are aging. The Bochet's probably will peak in about 3 years. I do a really heavy toast, and it just takes a while for that to mellow into what I'm looking for. Right now, at a bit under a year, it's fine. It's a little bitter. Definitely a heavy toast to it, but where it's going is really, really good. The balance between the acidity and some of the bitterness is pretty good. The sweetness is a little low and muted, but as the bitterness decreases, as this kind of like charcoal flavor mellows into toffee and marshmallow and caramel and chocolate, very dark chocolate, the balance will dial back into where I want it to be. So I want it to be a little too bitter right now to mellow into what I want. Heavy toast bouchées are really hard to do. So this is very important for our current discussion because this month's challenge will be making caramel apples. So the best way to do that is with caramelized honey. You know, if you want to make good caramel, you need to use butter. I'm not 100% sure on how some of this works, but there's a lot of whisking involved, and it turns like into this toffee sort of thing. We can't do that because of the fats, and caramel and the dairy in it is really iconic for that kind of sweet taste you put on an apple. So we're gonna have to fake it until we make it. So in that vein, I have melter honey. My beekeeper, he's a commercial pollinator, has lots of melter honey just from cleaning out his hives and stuff. And it's cheap. It's terrible for most things, like it's too strong to put into like baking goods and stuff like that. But for Bochet's, it's exactly what you want. So we've got a little taste of it here. Chocolate. Chocolate is definitely the biggest thing. Um, Caramel. It's basically pre-Bochetized honey. You can go and bochet this a little bit longer, boil it a little longer, and get it darker, which is what I've done for previous ones here. But I don't want to go do that this time around because I want to keep the toast a little bit lighter. And I think, given that taste, it's good enough right now. So the color on it is like this dark, rich black and dark brown already. That's exactly what you're looking for in a good melter honey. And this one I've actually gone and drank some of it beforehand to go figure out exactly how it tasted and then see how it changes when I add a little bit more of the melter in and then a little bit of this Belgian candy syrup. And this is going to be one of our other big things. Not that you can read it since it's going to be backwards, but I have got Belgian candy, both dark brown and the other one I have is just straight dark. The dark is a little bit more bitter, and the dark brown it's kind of like brown sugar, but like with more caramel notes to it. It's that one's really good. I've got a pound of each, and that's what we're going to use to back sweeten the batch. If you're following my recipe exactly, so I've put a little bit in here, and it's definitely got some of that note to it. The strong flavors, the rose is probably the most dominant in that, which we're working with something different. Cyser. Cider is very delicate, so it's not going to be quite so dominant. I think we'll be able to get the Belgian candy to stand out really proud, to get the relatively low toast on the melter honey to stand pretty proud, and you can come up with something pretty good when it comes to all of that. So personally, since I love high ABV stuff, I'm going to go pull out a batch, and the recipe will be linked in the notes here. Probably do like a 150 SG kind of start, looking somewhere in that ballpark. And so then the goal will be to back sweeten it with just the sugars that we want. So ferment it mostly dry, get some of that caramel left in it from the fermentation, but then you put in a full pound of the dark brown for sure for our back sweetening sugar, and then to taste on the dark. The dark, I think, is going to be easy to go overboard with. Probably only going to start around half a pound and see how that goes. Then the last real trick is, obviously we're starting with a pail of juice here, but if you want more apple flavor, sometimes it's a good idea just to give it a kick in the seat of the pants and use some really good frozen apple juice concentrate. If you can find like the local concentrate, great. If not, whatever you find at your local grocery store can work pretty well. And so it's got some sugar in it, so it's good for back sweetening. And you just throw that concentrate in secondary, and it can really amplify the apple flavor. Other things with this is the apple will be muted after fermentation. So you want to wait 9 months, 12 months, and especially since it's a bochet, you want to really wait that time for everything to really start to develop. This is not one that you're going to want to drink, excuse me, this year, but then to have this ready for fall season next year is a pretty good thought with this one. So yeah, looking at my recipe here, 1.155 target OG, ferment that down almost dry, back sweeten to somewhere around 1.015, 025, somewhere in there. This will be a little bit drier than some of the meads that I usually do. I mean, I know that sounds kind of like a lot of sugar in these, but if you've got 16, 18% alcohol by volume, it's okay for it to be a little bit sweeter, make it a little bit more of a sipping drink. The other big players are going to be Ferment O, Ferment K, DAP. That's my usual nutrient regimen. That'll be in there. There's tools available on the subreddit if you want to see exactly, how to come out to those calculations. But then pectic enzyme. I mean, there's plenty of pectin haze in cider if you don't deal with it. So you want to do that right away at the beginning because pectic enzyme is inhibited by alcohol. I will not be using an aggressive one like Lalzyme EXV. So there's no need to use something too aggressive if you've got just one easy source of pectin to be dealing with. And since I'm live streaming this, I guess I've got some people coming in. So with the other ingredients we've got going, last one will be bentonite. So I like to use about in a batch of this size, 6.5 gallons, 26 grams of bentonite right away in primary, and that's done dry. You just put it in, and as you're mixing and aerating for the first, 3, 4, 5 days, whatever happens to be before you hit your 1/3 SG break, it mixes in very, very well, and you can end up with, brilliantly clear meads just a few months in with no other work needed. I mean, you can cold crash, you can use sparkleoid and all the others, but bentonite on its own almost always does the trick for me, especially when it comes to macro particles and larger fruit solids you're looking to get knocked down. This batch won't have that, but it's still great for knocking stuff out of suspension like yeast or any solids that may be in your juice, cider, depending on where you're at, whatever you want to call it. I've got a local place. They do a press every couple of weeks. I was hoping to have the juice for this, but the press got delayed, so I wanted to get the video out. And I'm going to get a big 5 gallon pail of cider. It's unpasteurized. It is no preservative free. There's no ascorbic acid, nothing in it. It's just the juice. They can't tell me what apples are in it. They say it's just kind of a mutt. But they're good apples. I've gone to the farm before. They're not like what you'll get at the store. They're not Granny Smiths. They're not Red Delicious. All the rest. They're very, very tart, and that's what you want in a good cider apple. Is something that's almost more tart and more sweet than you'd really want to eat as a table apple. And those are just perfect. As I understand it, in Prohibition, basically all the good cider apples got all cut down and then replaced with different strains, different varieties. And there is just not that many places that are really good to get really good cider apples now in the United States anymore. It's coming back every once in a while. Different places are doing pretty well. My home state has the Arboretum. Minnesota does a pretty good job of trying to get apples, just different cultivars all going. And it's good to see a lot of the orchards doing really well here. So we've got the juice, we've got the sugars, we've got the kind of honey that we want to use. And in a little bit, you'll be able to take a look at my recipe. So that's about how I would go tackle making a caramel apple. Probably at this point is where I'll kill the video for recording and upload this later, put it on Reddit, put it on Discord, that sort of thing. See what people have to say about it. But I suppose otherwise, I've got a couple of people on here. How are you all doing? Matthew. So Bentonite, yeah, that I haven't always used Bentonite. It's really a huge game changer, though. It's one of the biggest things for me to get really good crystal clear mead coming out really quickly. Usually about 30 to 60 days. I've got stuff that's brilliant. It's ready to keg. I can put it into the new secondaries that I've got, and I don't have any issues with sediment. It's just absolutely fantastic. I've used a lot of other stuff. I did a lot of cold crashing because I've got a kegerator. Uh, and it's good, but man, if you can tackle it on the front side and not have to say, "Oh, do I need to like mix or aerate later down on the game?" Like if you've got 6 months in, you don't have the same resistance to oxidation and stuff like that. And I really think that oxidation is one of the biggest killers of a lot of novice and experienced mead makers. Just they don't watch their SO2 levels, and boop, you mute a lot of your flavors. Yeah, I think it came on after I said, but the videos took a stop while I was transferring to a new job. I was working at a steel mill essentially for a long time, and it was good, but I needed to move on. And now I've got free time again. So it's good to be back into brewing a little bit more and working on these videos. So that'll be good. Yeah, and Bosch at Cyser, Texas. It's really, really iconic. I think everyone should try it. I think a let's see, a raspberry bochet, a orange blossom bochet, so you back sweeten with orange blossom and oranges, and probably like a rose or some of the best ones I've found, just hands down. But I'm a little biased. I love, love, love doing bocets. I think they're one of the most nuanced kinds of mead that you can do. Are either of you two drinking any mead tonight, or um, not yet? Oh yeah, yeah. Acer Glen, those are good ones. I haven't had the opportunity yet to do a Bochet Acer Glen, and maybe this spring when my black walnut, assuming it produces sap again, that might be a really fun one to tackle. I haven't had the Apple Reserve. Um, I'd love to know what the final gravity is on that. Buddy of mine has a fancy new toy that just takes a little wee sample and gives it a shake, and it can tell you what the specific gravity is. And I'm pretty good at guessing with Shram stuff, but it's definitely like, okay, yeah, I know this is Shram, so it tastes like 1.050. Okay, add 20 onto it. So you've got a session mead. Okay, so session raspberry. How much raspberry did you use in that? Any particular process or while you're typing on that? So the Schramm's apple. I'd love to know what kind of apple he uses on that. Schramm's big thing is that he does a lot of his own fruit, and he's super specific about picking the fruit out to match with his honeys. And it's just really always incredible to see what he can come up with. I wish I had that level of quality of fruit here in Minnesota, but our growing season just doesn't support that. We've got cherries out of Wisconsin that are pretty good. I'm trying to get my Haskaps growing out, in my garden, but they're 2 years in now. I got a couple, just enough to eat this year. Using doing the most. Oh yeah, yeah. I was just hanging out with him about 2 weeks back at White Bear Mead. He was out here for a competition. That was pretty fun. It's really cool to see some of the stuff he's been making recently. He's really doing a good job of it. Yeah, 2 pounds for 5 gallons. That's pretty good for a hydromel. I like to go pretty heavy-handed with fruit just in general, even for hydromels. But it's not always the right answer. Sometimes a light touch can be a little bit um, uh, saying more while doing less, I think is the way I want to say it. I've got a couple of hydromels that are up on tap right now. See, I've got a jalapeno, uh, oh my God, pineapple, jalapeno pineapple, habanero mango, and then a cherry seltzer. The cherry seltzer is fine. It was on the second ferment of cherry skins and pits with just sugar added on top to see if I could use it. Let's see, Heart of Darkness, Man-Made Meat, and doing the most. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Yeah, Heart of Darkness is that's a hard one to beat. I had the privilege of having a pretty early rendition of one of those, and it's changed a little bit as it's gone. Some batches have been better than the others. One like year before last was one of my favorites, but it's really been cool to see how that one changes. It's just such a shame it sells out instantly. It's hard to get a bottle. I'm trying to remember what the other ones that I've had recently. The Lowota cherry. He's got two different cherry ones that are out. Lotakawa. Yeah, don't don't look at me for the names of meads. I have a hard time with some of that. I remembered all the fruit and stuff, but it was a different kind of cherry than I had gotten used to on some of the Door County stuff, and it's always really cool to see the Shram stuff. What's in Heart of Darkness? I think I remember the whole ingredient list. I know let's see, it's Blaton, black currant. There we go. Got that pulled up. Cherries. I don't know how to pronounce that. Charbeek. Yeah, yeah, black currants and raspberries. That's what I was missing. Virginia for mead. Yeah, I don't know a lot down there. There might be one place that I know. Nah, that's actually not going to be that close to you. I've got two weddings coming up here. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing for that. Um, my own marriage celebration. I got married over COVID, and we're doing a new party so that the whole family can come out. Is in like 2 years. I've got mine ready for that, but I've got two buddies who just got engaged like in the last month, and one I'm doing a pomegranate no water melomel that I'm so excited to husk all of those and then juice them all. Oh, so if you got them in sterile, oh yeah, yeah, I can swap that. Just real quick, basically tell me a fruit if you've got one that would be awesome to suggest to my buddy. I've got the pomegranate for the wedding, and then I can't come up with the other fruit yet. I want to run some stuff by him. But Dell sterilization, and that's how you said it, but it's more of a stabilization. Um, so most things in alcohol aren't sterile; they're just as close as we can get. So essentially, what the goal is to hit a Dell threshold, which is a combination of alcohol and sugar that most organic things say, fuck, we're out, we're done. Um, and so then that happens at 16.5 ABV and dry. So no sugar involved, and you're not going to get anything growing in that. One of my early forays into learning how to work on this was grabbing a 18% batch, and I just took the trub and let it sit in the fridge, and took the last sample of it out and just set it outside, on the counter, and just let it sit and sit and sit. Like 3 weeks, it sat out there, no mold, nothing. Cactus fruit. Now that's one I haven't done. Um, and so that's like this threshold where stuff is actually like really inhibited. Like 5% beer, yeah, it's a little bit more inhibited. 10% is where acetobacter vinegars no longer happen. 14, 15%, you're really starting to get there. Um, and then at 16.5 is the magic number where nothing else grows. So you reduce that 16.5 by having additional sugars. And I can go link a Reddit post on the wiki that goes and does some of the math. And it's kind of a pain, but if you basically remember 14% and dessert wine, that's stable. 15% and semi-sweet, that's mostly stable. And 16.5 dry is stable. It- but I'll again link the numbers so you can go actually crank it out and be super serious about making sure your Dell stability is there. And is it 73 Dell units, 69 Dell units, 75? Everyone's got a different amount of risk they're willing to handle. Um, obviously, if you're a big commercial organization, you don't want a 69 Dell thing, which is probably going to be stable almost every time, than being in cans, warm, shaken, and then blowing up in someone's hand. But if you got a kegerator and you can just keep it cold and that inhibits things a little bit, 69 Dell is probably going to do it. Let's see, where is process summary, stabilization? Here we are. There's the link. There's a formula in there. If you're on the Mead Hall Discord, there's a bot that does the math. That's what I use every time. I don't use the formula anymore. You just say your ABV and your final gravity, and it pops out the Dell. Yeah, yeah. No, this is my goal, is to help people learn how to make good mead. I learned the hard way. I didn't listen all the time, and I think my first 2 or 3 years could have been more drinkable. They were alcoholic. That was fine, but eventually I found Reddit, uh, learned how to do some more of that, got away from some of the misconceptions. Bringing it in from the beer making world. I had made beer early on and thought it was the same thing. I boiled my honey. I did all these things that we know are not exactly the best now. I didn't have any nutrition. I didn't have anything. Yeah, the bot's pretty helpful. It does a lot of different calculations that are pretty cool. I cranked out the numbers for figuring out how many calories were in things. So you could say like how big your bottle was and how big the final gravity was and the ABV, and it tells you how many calories are in it. Especially with some of this stuff being boozy and sweet. I'm not on a diet by any means, but it doesn't mean I want to have 1,000 calories of mead every night. Just on days that end in Y. Mm. Time of the year would be a good one too. So Let's see. It's a fall one, so cherries, cysers. Yeah, chocolate could be really good. There was some noise about a raspberry chocolate for the fall, but maybe I could convince him to let me back sweeten with like either maple or ooh or black walnut. That could be really fun. It's a 15-gallon batch. I don't know if I'll get enough syrup. I only got like a quart last year out of my one tree, but I might be able to find a couple of extra trees to tap. That could be really fun to do my own thing with some of that. But yeah, chocolate. I think chocolate's a real good idea. I haven't done that for a wedding one yet. Um, I've got 2 bottles of a raspberry chocolate that I need to enter in competitions, and it's killing me because I'd much rather drink them than go get a ribbon for them. But it is what it is. Mm. So how much do you two guys use the Reddit wiki? Is there anything that you wish you could see on there that you just feel like hasn't been covered, or anything else along those lines? We're working a lot on getting it revamped right now, a lot of organizational stuff, and adding in uh, pages on clarifying and stuff like that. Just the day-to-day stuff that people have locked in their heads and haven't really committed well to paper. Yeah, chocolate and Bochet is fun. It's kind of hitting the same flavor note twice, which is good. Don't get me wrong on that at all. Um, but you probably want to pick one more flavor to complement it. A buddy of mine did raisins with that combo, like a lot of raisins. Like it's Venus. Just added in. I think it was secondary. I don't know. I'd have to ask him. And it's really wonderful. I mean, it's like this chocolate port, or yeah, port wine. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I don't have as much time to be on that subreddit. I was working at the last place. I had 4 hours a day on Reddit, and now I wake up, spend 20 minutes waking up, and come home and do some. But I'm not on it nearly as much at work. Mm. I'm kind of curious to know how the time delay is on this chat. I haven't used YouTube. I'm not sure if my video is perfectly synced with the chat, or if there's a bit of a delay in that. Mm. Yeah, and one of the other ones I've been trying to beat the drum for, and I try to get most of the I try to get most of the challenge recipes in here if I can, as long as I'm happy with where mine come out, is in that link. So, if any of these recipes that you guys have gone and done for these challenges, you're like, this was it. This just fit the category. Um, that would be something I'd love to go add onto this stuff. It's just nice to have it formatted a little bit beforehand. Yeah, live stream is 10 seconds delay. Okay, yeah, so it was about a 30-second delay between me mentioning it and then me seeing the text come up. So it's just a little bit of delay in there. Not too bad. But like I was saying, any of these recipes that people do, love to add them, especially if it's something unique. Like a chocolate Bochet Acerglyn with a little bit of vanilla. Yeah, that's awesome, awesome, awesome to go and try. Hmm. All right. Well, I am coming towards the end of my free time here. I got to get this whole thing truncated and uploaded before my wife gets home from gym. We got to start dinner and stuff like that. So, if you guys have got any last minute questions, I'm more than happy to go poke them a little further down the road of learning if you feel like. Yeah. Hopefully, the post will be up tonight yet here. I've got the whole recipe ironed out last night. Uh-oh. Someone else jumped in right at the end. Uh, Yoshi, unfortunately, but this will be posted here on YouTube probably like you'll be able to see most of the stream. Have a good one all. Bye.